think there can be real friendships between humans and animals? I am convinced of it. If there is something more wonderful than wildlife, it's the possibility of having encounters with wild animals. Many of these encounters have been captured by the camera many times. Animals that ask for help and are saved by humans, animals that save people, and even experiences of human beings that develop a beautiful friendship with wild animals, which is quite moving. Now, let's discover the unbelievable human-animal friendships. And for some extra fun, find our mascot Ned hiding throughout the video. Friendliest wild octopus. Who would think you could befriend an octopus? Well, this is a true story of a diver instructor who became the best friend of a pygmy octopus who lived in a shell off the coast of Belize. Every day, Elora Kooistra dived and brought gifts to her cephalopod friend, many small pieces of fish and other marine animals. After interacting with the little 8-tentacle friend, one day, she was gone. Elora was worried that the predators would catch her. Pygmy octopus are very easy prey for big fish and even crabs. For days, Elora searched the bottom of the Belize Sea, hoping that nothing had harmed her friend. But predators weren't the only problem. The area was filling up with kayakers and divers. Her search was finally worth it. She finally found her. The octopus had moved to a quieter area where divers no longer disturbed her. Delivery driver rescues deaf and blind puppy. Admittedly, we find love in the least expected places, and that was just what happened to a UPS driver who was traveling his usual route in Missouri during the days before Christmas, when he seemed to notice that something was moving in the snow just off the road. Curiosity made him stop his vehicle and get off to see what it was about. That was how he found a small deaf and blind puppy stuck in the snow. The man decided to take the little guy, thinking that perhaps he would have been abandoned due to his disabilities. Thanks to his good deed, the puppy is now playing and having fun in his foster home, free from the worms and the hernia he had when he was rescued by this guardian angel in a delivery truck. The cool escape ramp that is saving critters. Yes, just as you heard it, bugs. And it is that when you love animals, you love everyone. Therefore, little critters cannot be the exception. After hearing about the large number of animals dying in the pools of his friends, Bob Mason set about creating something that could save their lives. After designing and testing various prototypes of life rafts and ramps, the Frog Log was born, a device that floats on the surface and has a ramp that allows small wildlife to safely escape from a pool. This device, of course, was very well received by wildlife lovers and is saving countless lives of frogs, lizards, birds, snakes, and mice, among many other critters. Fox with his head stuck in the jar. In June 2013, two Russian men who were walking near a forest noticed that a small fox was approaching them. Soon, they realized that the poor little animal had its head stuck in a glass jar, so they stopped and waited for it to reach them. As soon as he was close enough to the men, without hesitation, one of the men took the jar and carefully held the fox with his other hand. Then, after a little gentle tug, he managed to free him. Immediately, the fox ran into the forest and, as they watched him leave, one of the men asked him, "Hey, where's our things?" Then the small animal gave them a look, just like a gesture to those who saved his life. Laughing, the men resumed their way with the satisfaction of having helped their little friend. Kevin Richardson, the Lion Whisperer. South African zoologist Kevin Richardson, better known as the Lion Whisperer, has arguably the best job in the world. For several decades, Kevin has dedicated himself to studying the native animals of Africa, among them, the lions, who he knows so much that he seems to have discovered a way to relate to them without ending up maimed by these ferocious cats. And why do I know? Because Kevin and his team have taped their approaches with lions, and in their videos, we can see how by calling them Instead of attacking him, the lions run to hug him. Well, I must admit that anyone will think that he will be devoured by them, but in the end, it is very moving to see how these animals, weighing about 400 pounds, become tender kittens when they are together with Kevin. You may think that this man is crazy and that wild animals like lions cannot be trusted. However, you cannot deny that it is really exciting to think about the possibility of seeing a lion running towards you, to hug you and play with you. Well, I will die of excitement being Kevin, just to get one of those hugs. Thirsty koala that needs a drink. Walking through Australia outback. Can you imagine being out for a walk and ending up being a wildlife rescuer? This is what happened to Nick Lothian and his friends during a ride through Adeline, Australia. While exploring by bike, they encountered a koala. The marsupial was weak and dehydrated on the side of the road. As he stopped, Nick offered him a drink of water, and it was then that the thirsty animal climbed into the front tire of his bike and drank from its bottle. The group of friends stayed next to the koala until the animal rescue workers arrived at the place to give the little boy the attention he needed. Shadow, the orphan rhinoceros. Lions, rhinos, zebras. That and much more is Africa. 2014, South Africa. A tourist named Liam Burrow, while exploring a nature reserve, saw a small rhino on the road, just 8 weeks old and apparently orphaned, meandering near the Kruger National Park. Without hesitation, he and his fellow travelers decided to stop to help her. Seeing them, the little baby approached the vehicle that Burrow was in, looked at it, and decided to collapse under the shadow provided by the car. Rhinos, although they're very thick-skinned animals, need shade and water. Babies are even more fragile. And according to the young man, the creature's exhaustion was very evident, and she had multiple wounds on her body, which led him to think that the little girl was escaping from the poachers in the area, who surely would have recently hunted her mother. After giving her some water, the travelers contacted the park rangers, who eventually took the exhausted baby to care for the Wild Rhino Sanctuary, a non-profit place dedicated to helping injured orphan rhinos from the African continent. Definitely saving the life of these little rhinoceros, who they later named Shadow, must have been a very moving experience for everyone, don't you think? Bob, the railroad dog. How to talk about human-animal relationships and not include this dog? Let's travel back in time. 1882, South Australia. During his first years of life, Bob walked the streets, following the men who worked in the train, and he was happy, until he was caught by a hunter who used him to exterminate rabbits. On the railroad, a station guard decided to buy Bob off the hunter and take him on his constant trips in his truck and on the locomotive. Sometime later, his master received a promotion, and Bob will often run away from home to continue doing what he liked the most, traveling by train. On trains across the country, Bob became well known and he was welcome everywhere. When he wanted some privacy, he chose an empty wagon. He would get off a station and follow the guards home for some food and a comfortable place to sleep. Next day, he would return to the station and continue on his way. Bob visited many places, and when the children saw him, they ran after the train to greet him. His fame grew to the point of attending banquets as a guest of honor. In addition, he received a very special bracelet marked with his name and with an engraving indicating that he could go wherever he wanted. Some affirm that Bob was an Australian coolie or Smithfield, but the truth is that during his 17 years of life, Bob received a lot of love from all those who crossed his path and will always be remembered as the railroad dog. These stories, they truly filled my heart. It is very beautiful to see how in each of these moments between humans and animals, love triumphs. Enjoy your animal encounters a lot and see who else you can make friends with. Thanks for watching this video, and see you next time. Remember to click the bell icon after you subscribe so you can get instant notifications of all our new videos.